Hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be with you this morning. And you know what? If you're like peeking in on this live, or maybe you're watching the replay and you haven't seen it somewhere, today is National Pharmacy Tech Day,
Mhm.
and it's also Pharmacy Week, National Pharmacy Week. October is American Pharmacist Month. Just a couple days ago, we had Women Pharmacist Day. So, and you may think, well, if you're not in pharmacy, you may think, well, what is all the hoopla about? Like, why are we making all this noise about pharmacy? Well, we know why we make this noise, and it's because, you know what? Most people's idea of a pharmacist or pharmacy technicians are the people that they encounter working in the drugstore. And that's very true. Those are definitely places where you encounter pharmacy first. But have you ever known a pharmacist, either personally or at least that works in your local drugstore, that you could call and ask a question? Because you just can't run to the doctor's office and knock on the door and say, hey, I got a question really quick. But you can call up a pharmacist, walk into a pharmacy, call that person who you know went to pharmacy school, and you can generally ask them questions and get medical care, medical advice, if you will. So not enough of a big deal is made about that. So that's why we make a big deal in October, because pharmacists do more than you can ever imagine. They definitely do more than fill prescriptions, and they help in ways with chronic health diseases that are plaguing our country right now. So my understanding is, I think it's 4 out of 10 people in the United States have a chronic illness, or maybe 6 out of 10 have a chronic illness, and 4 out of 10 have multiple chronic illnesses, because they all kind of go hand in hand. And that's why my next guest is so dear to my heart, as well as important for this audience, because she supports patients who have a chronic disease called diabetes. And you and I know that diabetes is at epic proportions in this country. And obviously, what our healthcare system is doing is not working. And then when we get a little false hope and we think that we have something that's working, then it's on back order, because so many people want it, people with diabetes and people without diabetes, because, oh my gosh, it makes you lose weight. So I just couldn't think of anybody else to have to talk with me this morning but Dr. Nana Ama Kwanzaa. Hello, Dr. Nana. So first we got to tell them that you were featured in Pharmacist magazine.
I sure was.
I mean, I just remember those pictures. I just remember that flair and that style, and like, oh my gosh, you did that. And one of the things that we talk about are passions. And you know what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping women in pharmacy build their dreams. Your dreams are urgent. However, today I want to talk about what you're passionate about. So tell me what your passion is.
Sure. So before we even get into that, thank you for having me here. I am super excited to be here. I know we do have the best conversation. So I am really excited to be here. So to answer your question, what am I passionate about? Oh boy. So obviously it is diabetes. And I think it goes far beyond just the chronic illness. It's more so to maximize the potential out of someone. Okay. So it's not just the diabetes and helping someone eat healthy and have a healthy and balanced life, because ultimately it's about living your purpose, right? So to maximize someone's life is definitely what I am very, very passionate about. And to tie it in with what I went to school with, I obviously chose diabetes for so many reasons. So that is definitely what I'm excited to talk about today.
So, I want you to unpack that word maximize a little bit. Maximize. What does it look like if I am maximizing my and reaching my purpose? What does that look like? Because I don't want people to miss the gap between I have diabetes and what she's talking about maximizing my life. What is that? What do they have to do with each other? So help me unpack that even more for the people who are listening.
So I would say that, in the healthcare system that we are in, we have been taught to, I think, things small. Everything is just small. The fact that you're just taking medications and something is kind of giving you a little bit of relief is just okay. So we have been told all these lies that, okay, you have a high blood sugar, so let me just give you those medications and then it goes down, so you're fine, right? And then until something else happens. So what I am more passionate about is actually to take you out of that tentacles, if you will say, right? So you want to think, don't mistake living in for a house, because there's more. There's abundance. There's a lot that you can explore in this world. So my goal is to just literally to help people get out of that, for better words, maybe bondage, right? Because people think that, hey, I have to live with this for the rest of my life. I have to take medications for the rest of my life. But especially when it comes to type 2 diabetes, that is not the case. Right. So I need you to just zone in and listen to this conversation that we are about to have, because it's gonna be good. Okay, it's gonna be juicy. So let's keep going.
I know that I can personally relate because I am diabetic. I am a type 2 diabetic for about 2 years now. And you have had a bit of an up close and personal seat to, over the past 2 years, the hills and the valleys that I have personally experienced, because I have, I've let you, when you were my coaching client, you would ask me, what was your blood sugar this morning? What was this? Or, what did you exercise? And, one of the things that I can truly say being diabetic is, you're right. It's hard to reach your potential. It's hard to live your potential. You can keep going and you can, kind of limp along, if you will. But when you don't feel your best, it's difficult. Those things like your purpose,
living your purpose,
that's not even on your mind when you're suffering from high blood sugar, low blood sugar, cravings, when you're suffering from brain fog, fatigue, where I remember, and so you probably even are surprised from even when you saw me just a couple months ago, because I'm like, oh, look what I've been doing. I have more energy and I feel great. And you probably can even see a difference in 2 months ago. And I can tell you, when we had breakfast 2 months ago, whatever I had, I probably wouldn't have that today. But the other thing that I have been very candid and you've been able to watch is just how my decision-making process it goes. And how sometimes you're like, forget that. I'm about to eat this, that, and the other thing. I deserve it. So you're really learning how to unlearn habits, all the while not feeling well. I've been a bit resistant to through adding a lot of medication, because we know that doesn't fix the problem, even though we're pharmacists. So I say all that to say I can relate, and that there were many times that I could definitely function, but I was not thinking about reaching my potential, even though my tagline is your dreams are urgent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good that you brought that to the attention, because even when people hear blood sugar, they immediately relate that to diabetes. But that is not even the case. Blood sugar, it's really important. I'm really passionate about it, because it determines how we feel at every moment of our lives. So you don't necessarily have to even have diabetes, but if you're dealing with cravings, like you mentioned, brain fog, consistent, like frequent headaches, things like that, these are all blood sugar issues. But most often when people hear blood sugar, they're like, oh, I don't have no type 2 diabetes, so I'm not going to listen, right? But these are things that you have to be tracking. Are you having frequent headaches, brain fog? Are you having difficulty even paying attention in class, at work? I mean, not class, because we're not student anymore, but like at work, are you having like consistent cravings, things like this? These are even painful periods. These are all blood sugar issues. Resistance to weight loss. You hear a lot of people, I can't lose weight, and they're on medications. These new trends that are coming up, everybody is like on it. But that is not the problem. Have you looked at the root cause? It's not about just eating right. There has to be something else going on. There has to be some kind of unhealthy function of the cells. So these are things that, the mainstream doesn't talk about. These are things that your primary doctor will not talk about. they would just tell you, hey, okay, your sugar is high, just take the medication. And oftentimes it's even really late because like you already have those issues for decades, but because we don't even do certain tests and stuff, it's never caught. So by the
Well,
time you get diagnosed, it's really too late, but you've been dealing with that issue for a very long time.
right. Yes, I would agree. Most people tout the word, oh, I'm pre-diabetic. I had somebody just tell me that on Sunday in
There
the
is
bookstore.
nothing like pre-diabetes. It is
Yeah.
diabetes, unfortunately.
I said to the gentleman who said, "Oh, I'm pre-diabetic." I said, "You know, sir, you should assume that you're diabetic and respond like that." I guess you're like, who is she to tell somebody how to, because I'm learning my own. But I wish that I had known pre-diabetes. If I acted as if I already had diabetes and managed it that way, I might not have ever developed actual diabetes. And so I would say for anyone who gets that diagnosis from their physician, oh, you're pre-diabetic, and they might say, oh, well, just back down off the carbs. No, I just sent you my breakfast plate, a picture of my breakfast plate from 2 days ago. And you know that the back away from carbs is doesn't fix diabetes.
It's not a carb problem.
It's not a carb problem. It's actually not really a blood sugar problem.
Blood sugar problem also, yeah.
Insulin resistance problem, and high blood sugar happens to be one of the symptomatology that gives that indication. But how many people are walking around our country and thinking, because I had that for a while, oh, I can eat all the things and I could just take the medicine, or I can even do worse and I can just ignore it. I can just ignore it and pretend. And you know what? Then we had this little thing called a pandemic that came around and knocked us all off of our feet. And that, on top of being pre-diabetic, was enough to push me right over into the diabetic land. And I could tell you, I wish I could chronicle the advice I've gotten. And I basically, for myself, not necessarily because I intend to teach anyone, but I have for myself had to become a student of diabetes. Because yes, we all tend to know what goes on. However, what's really going on? Most people don't know they have a pancreas until something's wrong with it. And so really learning, how does the liver and the pancreas, how do they work? Insulin is a hormone, and how is it impacting the other hormones? Because the other piece that I wasn't ready for was, what were my other hormones doing in addition to this insulin? They're all
exactly. And that is what actually, for lack of better terms, if I can even say that on the platform, that's what makes me mad. They keep telling people, oh, don't eat carbs, don't eat fruit. But what are you going to choose, fruit or candy? Which one? Even though, but the issue is, it's not because you're eating fruit. It's not the fruit that is causing you to have high sugars. There is a problem. There's a problem underneath. So it's not because of the fruit. It's not because of the bread that you're eating. Yeah, obviously, carbohydrates obviously will increase your blood sugar, but that is not the problem. That is not what is causing the problem. So these are the lies that, the mainstream has been, I would say, telling all of us, because we are all, we fell for that. We went to school. We're like, okay, all we have to do is to give this person metformin. Metformin is not the solution. It is not the solution. Ozempic is not the solution. It's not. No. You got to go deeper.
And it doesn't fix the underlying problem.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I feel that we have an epidemic of obesity as well. And we also have a lot of vanity. And so if we can lose weight and look good, doesn't really matter if we fix the diabetes or not. Have we answered the underlying I would say most people never get to the root cause of the problem. And so then what happens is, we humans, we get tired. And so I've not eaten carbs for how long? And that's not sustainable forever.
It's not sustainable.
then we end up getting hangry, and then we're like, forget that, I'm gonna eat more carbs than I should. And then so you end up in this big yo-yo.
Exactly.
And I have to say, and I know it's pharmacy week, but pharmacists, we know better. Like we know better, because we know that not any medication that you give is going to truly fix the problem. It may hold the problem off for a while. It may tamper down the signs and the symptoms and quiet them. And it's so great that we could put up a blood sugar that says, look, we got the blood sugar down. Look, we got the glycosylated hemoglobin down. But have we looked at the impact of how we cook our food and glycation and what that does to our bodies the more we cook our food? And so, yes, we could get into talking about.
I always say that controlling your blood sugar means nothing if you have not tackled the root cause.
Right.
It means nothing. It doesn't matter whether your numbers are, getting better within a week or whatever, because it's going to come back. And a lot of doctors are telling you, hey, go on low carb diet. But yes, low carb diet will definitely reduce your sugar. But what about the future problems that you're going to have? Have we thought about that? Have we thought about all the consequences that this can actually bring? So these are things that you have to think about. You have to advocate for yourself, right? When you're going to the doctor, you have to make sure you have a data going in. You have to tell the doctor your goals. What are your goals? You can't just go in and sit in the doctor's office thinking that they have to figure everything out. No, if you go well prepared, best believe you're going to get the answers that you're looking for, if it's a right doctor though. Right.
And talk to me more about, because I said when we opened up that the public knows pharmacists usually in one way, just at their local drugstore. So oftentimes, if you say, I have the phrase and shirts that say everyone needs a pharmacist, and people are like, what? Because oftentimes people can't see pharmacists in any other setting. But I say one of the best people to have on your healthcare team when you are managing diabetes or any chronic illness for that matter is a pharmacist. Talk to me about, we know that pharmacists fill prescriptions and dispense prescriptions. So, and we're grateful for that because we need that. However, talk to me about what else a pharmacist can do.
So, that's a good question, Jerrica, because we are definitely one of the most underrepresented people, right? The healthcare professionals. But, there's a whole lot. And if I have to list everything, we will be here till tomorrow. And no one has time for that, right? So I can only share how I serve my patient, how I do it, because I don't work in the traditional setting full time anymore. So I work with individuals that have blood sugar issues. Like we said, it's not necessarily type 2 diabetes, but even if you have brain fog, consistent headaches, things of that nature, these are all blood sugar issues. So how I do it is through coaching. It's in twofold: coaching and consulting. So my coaching basically goes beyond the symptoms, just like what we've been talking about. We dive deeper. We leverage something called functional medicine approach, which is basically taking the whole person into consideration, not just, treating them with medication. So personally, this is what I do to serve my patients. I help them, I advocate, I serve as an advocate as well. And it goes all the way back to my story. I know I shared that in the magazine, right? And I think that now what I am doing, and is still standing, is because of my own story. Because what I've observed over the time is a lot of people that are living with chronic illnesses, especially diabetes, because that's what I love to talk about, they feel like their voice are not heard, right? And I can really trace it back to my own story when I was in college. And if you haven't seen the magazine, just grab it and read. We're not going to talk about it in depth today, but it goes all the way back to my own story. There was a time in my life that I felt like I didn't even have the power to communicate. So it's really, I think that's what makes me different, even serving the diabetes community. It's I feel like I know I understand what they are going through because I've been in their shoes, right? It's more that I've been in a setting where my voice was not heard, and I had to do certain things to get myself out of that web and again maximize my own potential and be doing things that makes me happy, makes me enjoy life better, and also walk in my purpose. So these are some of the things that I do serving my patient. And because of that, I actually move beyond just, doing consultations. Because of that, I was able to establish, I'll say a school, I call it academies, Dish Diabetes Academy, where I focus on metabolic health problems like your type 2, your blood pressure problem, cholesterol, obesity, things of that nature. And we dive deeper. So it's not just, just consultation. Okay, I'm feeling this kind of way. What advice do you have for me? And that's it. No, we actually deep deeper into it, and we have an extensive conversation on what your goals are, what your lifestyle is, how do you handle stress. It's not just okay,
Right.
these are the recommendations, so go ahead, take it and do it. We go deeper. We have an extensive time assessing all the things that matter before we even get into the action steps.
And let me ask you, because one of the things that I have personally experienced
Mhm,
with diabetes, and why I think it's important for patients, especially who don't have a healthcare background, to
mhm,
have support, is because there's lots of conflicting information out there. You can turn on the TV, open up the social media or internet or magazine, newspaper, what have you, and literally you can have conflicting information.
yeah,
One source will tell you eat this way, another source will tell you eat that way, another source will say, oh, just prick your finger every morning. Somebody else will say, oh, no, you need continuous. Like, all different advice that really, even as a diabetic patient, and I am a healthcare professional, so I can imagine someone who's
it's
not a healthcare,
confusing. Yeah.
it can become very overwhelming. It can
Mhm.
become very like paralyzing, because there's just so much information that you're just paused because you don't know what to listen to,
Yeah, you
what
end up
to
not
do.
even doing anything because you're
Right.
like, forget this. This is confusing. Yeah.
And in the moment when you're hungry, I have said this to practitioners, who are on my healthcare team. In the moment that you're hungry, all the advice you have gotten does not mean a thing. All the warnings, no one thinks about, I'm going to be a patient, an amputation patient, in the moment that they're hungry.
Hungry.
They literally are trying to satisfy their hunger, that low blood sugar, whatever is the cause of it. And so you are reaching to eat what you can in the moment. You're not thinking about all the consequences. Now, maybe after you eat it, then you have all the emotion. There's guilt. There's, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Could I have made a better choice?
Mhm.
Why didn't I plan? Maybe there's not. So it's more than just telling some patients what to eat. It's how to plan. Let's look at, when I did take care of patients, let's look at your schedule, because your schedule is different from my schedule. Who buys
Exactly.
the groceries in your house is different from who
Yeah.
buys the groceries in my house. And so
Mhm.
one size doesn't fit all. So
They
I
don't.
love that I hear you say we go
Mhm.
deeper. I go deeper, because what will work for the person who does their own grocery shopping, their own cooking, may
Mhm.
not work in the household where maybe the spouse or caregiver does
Yeah.
all the shopping and the cooking.
Yeah.
Those are two different. That may be two different plans. So talk a little bit about that, and
Mhm.
the paralysis that you feel in the moment that
Yeah.
you're hungry.
Yeah, and that's a good question. And I think it comes down to it being an individualized approach. You cannot just take that general information that is on social media and just be using it for yourself. You have to be really in tune with your own body and
Mhm,
see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But most importantly, it's important to have a coach.
mhm,
And I know you and I have, talked about this because I had to get you as a coach when I started, and it built a really good foundation for me because having a coach will give you a very good foundation that you can step on and do the things after that. You have to lay a good foundation. You have to sow good seeds. That's the only way this is going to work. So it's very important to have a coach that will, when the times comes when you're at the airport and you're all the candies and the pizza and everything is like flying all over, right? You're just looking at all these things. That's when your coach comes into play. You just give them a call and be like, you know what, Donna, I can't do this. I see this pizza, I see this all over the place. So that is definitely when a coach comes into play. So I would say that if you're struggling with that, the first thing to do, obviously, your health better than anyone, but don't take the general things. Start jotting things down. Have a journal. Be writing down things. How are you feeling? What is causing the stress? What is making you grab this food? Is this something deeper? What is causing you to be craving the candy and the chocolate? And I mean, there's nothing wrong with, obviously, you're human, you can eat that. But obviously doing that every day is a problem, right?
Right.
So you got to go deeper and be like, hey, what is causing this problem? And having a coach will also navigate that difficult time as well.
So speaking of which, you reminded me when you said the buzzword journal that you created a journal for diabetic patients. And I think that journaling, which I am not used to doing, but in the times when I can say that I have journaled, I have been more aware of my health, because many times we're moving and we're doing what we do.
Life is so fast.
Right. Life is fast. We don't understand even how our body responds to things. Number one, we inhale our food. Nobody chews their food 32 times. And then number two, we don't even stop and go, I have a headache, or I have a stomach ache, or I'm, feeling sleepy now. We don't evaluate those things and connect them back to, what did I just eat? And how is that impacting my body? Which journaling gives you a great opportunity to stop in the moment and see what's going on, because a day later you won't remember what you ate.
Remember, exactly. It definitely helps you identify the trends and the patterns. Right. So even when something is going on, you can always trace it back to, you go grab your book and then you look at it. Okay, what made my sugar go up? Was it because I was stressed? Was it because of this thing that I was going through? So it really helps you identify those patterns and trends so you can adjust accordingly. So that's something you need to grab if you don't have one.
Right. And then I don't want us to get out of here before we talk about your upcoming event. I know that you are monthly reaching patients all over the country. They don't even have to be in the same state as you. They literally can be in the comfort of their own home. And so I want to give you an opportunity to make sure that you share what it is that you're doing on a monthly basis for people who are like, you know what, I'm tired of trying to sort this out by myself. I'm frustrated. I think I'm on the right track. I think I have it all under control. And then I go back to the doctor's office and they're still shaking their heads and wanting to add another medication to my already long list. Because not only do diabetes patients end up on diabetes meds, they end up on blood pressure medicines, cholesterol medicines, all of the things. And then they end up on medicines to combat the side effects of the medicines that they've been put on to manage the cholesterol and the blood pressure and the diabetes. So tell us about your event.
So every month I do classes. It's free, so you can join anytime. And the new one that I'm doing is on October 25th, and it's called Master Your Blood Sugar. So it's not just for people that have type 2 diabetes. It's for the type 2s, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol. If you're having difficulty with weight loss, I need you to come on there as well. So what I do is just an hour. It's not anything that is intense that we're going to be there forever. It's just to inspire you and empower you to have a good grasp of this disease that you're dealing with. So it's more so you gain total clarity on why you're taking all these medications and you may or may not be still, sick, right? It's going to help you to find a new way to tackle this illness, because you weren't born like this, right? So we need to know what's going on there. So that's number 2. And number 3, we also help you. I help you find it's a clear step for you to know what to do so you can be on the journey for medication freedom, because you don't want to be taking medication forever.
No.
Who wants to do that? Yeah, for a temporal case, obviously that's needed, but you do not want to do that forever. So these are the 3 things that you will learn when you come to the class. We have a monthly, but this month is actually different. The previous ones have been like the blood sugar reset, but this month is totally different, and we're going to go deeper. Okay, so I just need you to join, and then we're going to have a good time.
And you know, I love the fact that you're providing a platform for people to come and kind of put their worries aside and just learn in a fun environment, learn in a very relaxed environment. There's no pressure, there's no judgment. It's because living with diabetes is more than a notion. I imagine living with any chronic disease, it can be very consuming. And so sometimes you don't even want to think about it, because you probably think about it more. You even get down to issues of mindset and like, how are you identifying I'm a diabetic, or do I just happen to have diabetes? I mean, we can all, you know, there's all kinds of nuances with mindset. And that's one of the reasons why I love what you're doing every month, is because I know that you have done virtual grocery shopping, training for people. You've done different things to give. You've done open houses and virtual things where people can come and almost learn. Well, not almost, but come and learn while they're having some fun, while they're having some laughter, playing a little bit, and in a very relaxed
manner.
Right. And having and going, oh, because oftentimes I would imagine that guilt and shame go hand in hand with chronic illnesses, because the patient seems to feel like, oh, I'm never going to get rid of this. I'm never going to lose weight. I'm never going to get my blood sugar down. And so then there comes the cycle where they go and they eat whatever it is that will make them feel good. And then now we have the guilt that comes, and it just goes around in a circle.
You definitely need the voice that can speak life into you to know that this is not something that you have to live your whole life with. It's something that you can actually turn around completely. So,
So you said, I want you to repeat the details, and then I want to know how people can find you easiest. We want to give them just one way that if they all come by that way, then you can either respond or you can get them the information they need to register. Tell us the details again.
This new class is called Master Your Blood Sugar, Crush Your Type 2 Diabetes, Boost Your Energy, and Shed Those Pounds. And it's happening October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so that's 6 p.m. Central as well. And you can find me on almost all the social media platforms, but on Instagram is Dr.Nana from D. And I'm also going to give you the link to register. It's just ditchdiabetes.com/register. That's an easy way to, if you just don't want to do social media and stuff like that, you can just go using that link, ditchdiabetes.com/register, and you'll be able to register for this class. It's complimentary. I ain't charging you for that. It's free. We're going to have a good time and in a relaxed manner as well.
And I think that that is one of the best ways to learn about something that you live with on a daily basis, something that can be a source of, as I said, guilt, shame, hurt feelings. And so to be able to put all of that aside and come and be in an environment with other people who can understand what is happening.
Community helps, because you don't want to do this alone. You need that community. You definitely need the people around you to help you push through, because there will be challenges.
And having that support from community as well as a coach, I think is very, very powerful.
Yeah, the line keeps breaking.
I think that we have a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. We've got the information out there. So will you say that website one more time? ditchdiabetes.com/register.
Ditch Diabetes Academy. No, ditchdiabetesacademy.com/register.
ditchdiabetesacademy.com/register. So you've heard it here. You've seen her. You've heard her talk. She's got what you need to consider to do this thing differently. If you keep doing the same thing the same way, nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Exactly. So if you want to look at it from a different perspective, get a fresh outlook, get fresh perspective, fresh suggestions, because we know this is an age-old disease. However, there are people, including yourself, who are doing some amazing things to help people approach it differently, see themselves differently, and see that they have hope to reverse and turn the situation around. So I don't know what you're doing on October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, but you need to go to ditchdiabetesacademy.com/register. I knew I'd get it. Definitely sign up for some good time, great information, and most of all, being in great company. All right, Dr. Nana, I am so grateful that you stopped by the studio today.
Thank you for having me. It was such a great time, as always.
You can hear what you're working on, and like, people need, if you know somebody, maybe you don't have pre-diabetes or diabetes, but you know somebody who does, say, hey, I don't know what you're doing on October 25th, but you need to go to ditchdiabetesacademy.com/register, and you need to make sure that you sign up and at least just go see what they're talking about. I say to people all the time that it never hurts to have a conversation. So it never hurts to drop in and see what you can learn to understand that you don't have to live this way forever.
Ever. Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to make sure that this gets to the places that it needs to get to and the ears it needs to get to. And I appreciate having you.
Likewise. Thank you so much as well. And thank you for highlighting women in pharmacy. Well, women and men, because Delon was in the
magazine. Right. Yes, we had our pharmacer last year as well.
You're doing such a great job. Thank you for having me as well.
Thank you. I'm very passionate about the world knowing that everyone needs a pharmacist. And so that's why I do what I do and make this platform available to share with as many people as possible that there are pharmacists who are doing some things who can really help you turn your health around. And Dr. Nana is one of them. Okay. Take care, Dr. Nana.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.